What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Untitled World. Thank you for joining me today. Well, today we're going to discuss two pay-per-views we had this weekend. We had UFC's 262, and we had WWE's Wrestlemania Backlash 2021. I've noticed that recently, a lot of times when there's a UFC, there's a WWE, so it's twice as good if you're a fan of both. So first, we're going to talk about UFC 262. We're just going to talk about the main card. So we had 5 matches. First, we had Edson Barboza versus Shane Burgos. Now, I knew who Edson Barboza was. I knew he's got a lot of great finishes. He's got that spinning back heel kick, or spinning back heel kick, whatever you want to call it, where he kicked the guy in the head, he just went and froze up and just basically died right there, but not really. So he's got really good kicks. He's dangerous. And Shane Burgos, I didn't know who he was, to be honest with you. I'm a pretty big fan of UFC, but I didn't know exactly who he was because there's like 5,000 fighters. Apparently he's an exciting fighter to watch, and he's definitely got a chin on him, and he's a strong dude, and he can take a lot of damage, but not as much as Edson Barboza can give him, because if you watch the fight, the final sequence, I think Edson Barboza hit Shane Burgos with like a left and a right, and he hit him, and he backed away a little bit, and all of a sudden he just fell backwards and right into the cage. Like, I'd never seen anything like that. Apparently, I guess he hit him in the temple, and I guess it just took a little bit of time for his brain to register, oh, it's time to turn off now. You know, the windows sound, do-do-do, whatever. Yeah, so he went to sleep. And then Edson Barboza jumped on him, punched him a couple of times, and then that match was over. So Edson Barboza went up a little bit. Shane Burgos, I'm sure, went down, but I don't know exactly where he was in the rankings. But I can't remember if Edson Barboza is even in the same weight class as Charles Oliveira. But if they haven't fought, which I can't remember if they have or haven't, that would be a really good fight. Just people kick. It would look like a Mortal Kombat game when you're playing against your little brother or sister and they don't know what they're doing. They're just pressing A over again. Over A, kick. And you have to jump in between the kicks. That's what it would look like, but you'd have 2 people doing it. Next up, you have Katlyn Chookagian versus Viviane Araújo. Once again, I didn't know who Viviane Araújo was. I had never heard of her. But if you watch the embedded before the UFC pay-per-views, those are always fun because you get familiarized with the fighters. And that lady is shredded. I was pretty much betting all my money that Katlyn Chookagian was going to lose, because this lady, Vivian, whatever, didn't even look like a chick. She was shredded. Like, if you go back and watch, just look at her picture, like when they show the match, they show the people up and they show the tail of the tape, and they show, oh, this person weighs this much, and they're this old, and they have this much reach. That Vivian girl, she looked like she was possibly a man, just the way the definition in her arms. I'm not saying she was a dude, but that's how she looked. That's how cut up she was. And Katlyn Chookagian, I don't think she's ever had a finish. She always wins by decision. So, that's an exciting fighter. When at the end, Katlyn Chookagian won by decision, but I honestly thought the Vivian girl won. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, but Katlyn seemed like she was pretty excited and scared at the same time, because she started crying at the end, because I think she was like, I'm about to lose my position as number 2. I'm about to go down a little bit. And then they went out and gave her the victory. So good for her, I guess. Next up, we had Matt Christopher Schnell versus Rogerio Bontoren. I don't know who either of these fighters are, and honestly, I don't even remember this match. So it says they won. Matt won by decision, so good for you, Matt. You're definitely more famous than I am. So, but I don't remember anything about the match. Like, I had. Someone said, did they fight yesterday? I go, no, and I'd be wrong. Next up, we had the Beneil Darius versus Tony Ferguson. Been a Tony Ferguson fan for quite a while. I liked him when he was on The Ultimate Fighter with Brock Lesnar as his coach, back when Brock was in the UFC for his second run, I believe. No, might have been his first run. No, I think it was his first run, I believe. But and then he was supposed to fight against Junior Dos Santos, I believe, and then he ended up fighting Shane Carwin. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Anyway, but Beneil Darius, and then if you watch the once again the embedded, and they had the press conference before, And Tony Ferguson was talking a lot of crap about all the different fighters. He was talking about Beneil because, of course, that was who he was fighting against. He's talking crap against Michael Chandler. But the only person he had to show respect to was Charles Oliveira. Why? Because Charles Oliveira gave Tony Ferguson his butt by kicking his butt on the last fight he had. So it kind of muted him, I can't talk crap about this guy because this guy's already kicked my butt. But Beneil Darius, he seemed like a stand-up dude, so I was kind of rooting for him, but I was still like to have seen Tony Ferguson try to go for the title one more time because he's been around for so long. But third loss in a row. He lost to Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, and now Beneil Darius. Tony Ferguson, I know you're saying you're keeping up with the young guys, but you're not. I mean, Beneil Darius basically did whatever he wanted to the entire time in the match. You were kind of doing that kind of stuff and spin around. Kind of hard for Beneil to hit a little bit, but as soon as he got a hold of you, it was over. And then he got him in that knee bar or heel hook or whatever it was, and popped something in Tony Ferguson's knee, and you could see Tony Ferguson going, writhing in pain. And he never does that. He's like a zombie. He's kind of like the Korean zombie, but he's from America, and he's made, like you said, with Mexican parts. Well, he broke something on that Mexican part. One of the Mexican parts got broken by Beneil Darius because he just, he put him in that heel hook, whatever it was. I think it was a heel hook, but it snapped his knee or something. Beneil even said he heard it snap or pop, but he still kept fighting. So, I mean, Tony Ferguson is a warrior. He's basically like a zombie. You can't kill him, but you can definitely beat him in a 3-round fight. So it stings seeing all these great fighters that you've grown up watching have to retire, but Tony is going to just keep doing it. He's going to get more and more brain damage. He's going to get worse CTE because I guarantee he's got a degree of it from all the damage he's taken. And then he's going to do like Chris Benoit and kill his family, and we don't want to see that. So Tony Ferguson, in my opinion, should just retire. Just figure out something. You got a big enough fan base where you can have people do something. I don't know, have your Tony Ferguson's crazy movement gym. I don't know. Be creative. You got ideas up there. Do something. But fighting is not for him. It's sad to say, but it's over for Tony. I mean, he's had more time than I've had. All right, so then we got the main event. We got Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Now, as a real, true American, I, of course, was rooting for Michael Chandler. He was from Bellator. He's basically got a perfect record. It wasn't perfect because he did lose to a couple people, or at least one person in Bellator. He came over here. He made weight for the Khabib and Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier fight. I can't remember. He made weight just in case they needed a backup, but they didn't need it, so he flew all the way over there, made weight for nothing. So it made him in good graces and good viewing of Dana White and the UFC. So then he had his fight with James Hooker. That one was kind of back and forth, but you could see James Hooker was a lot taller than him. But Michael Chandler, what did he say? How do you say it? He got rid of the distance. He closed the distance. That's what they call it. Say it. That's how they say it in America, in English. He closed the distance. I believe he hit him with a right, knocked him down, punched him, and beat him. And then it was like, hey, cool, he should be a number one contender. So then they made this fight, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. And immediately, maybe not immediately, but very soon into that match, you could tell Michael Chandler was going to have a little bit of trouble because he was the reach distance. It was insane. It looked kind of like when your little brother gets ballsy and he's like, I'm going to fight you. And he starts trying to beat you up. And it's like, dude, I'm 2 feet taller than you. That's exactly what it looked like. He was just kind of like, Charles Oliveira just kind of pulled back, put up his knee, kind of, hey, keep it away. So Michael Chandler was going to have to do the same thing he did with James Hooker. And he's going to have to close the distance and try to hit him with the right or the left. And he did do it a couple of times. He knocked him down. I thought he was going to beat him in the first round. Charles Oliveira survived somehow, got to the second round, and then 19 seconds into the second round, he beat him. I mean, and of course, at some point before that, say like 12 seconds into it, he hit him with a left and just stumbled him really hard. He fell into the back of the cage, and from then on, he was just chasing him around, and he hit him like with a left or a right again, dropped him, punch, and new lightweight champion of the UFC, Charles Oliveira. So Charles Oliveira seems like a good dude, so congrats to him. But I still wanted Michael Chandler to win. And then, of course, after the UFC pay-per-view, we had Conor McGregor, who I'm a big fan of, tweeting like, "Oh, congrats on being the 11th. I wonder who will be the 12th because he has proper 12 whiskey." Now, is Conor McGregor going to beat Charles Oliveira? Probably not. But you never know. He's a Brazilian just like Jose Aldo. He could do the whole crapping on Brazil again and get Charles Oliveira pissed off like he did with Jose Aldo, and maybe Charles Oliveira will rush in. I don't think he'll be able to do that because they've already seen Jose Aldo do that. So like, all right, whatever he says, just don't take it personal. Just go in there, kick, and possibly break his head. So Conor McGregor, in my opinion, will not beat Charles Oliveira. That's even if he gets past Dustin Poirier in the next match. I hope he beats Dustin Poirier, but I don't know. But that's him going for the UFC title is so far in the future. Like, I don't even think it's not even something in the next realm. Like, it's probably never going to happen. But overall, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. It stunk that we lost the Nate Diaz fight and Leon Edwards, because that would have been a good one. I think that's probably where they threw in the Matt Christopher Schnell and Rogerio Bontoren, but I could be wrong. But that would have been a good one. So, but it's got moved back, I believe, to 263. So stay tuned for that one. Overall, it was a good pay-per-view. Wasn't nearly as good as UFC 261. It was great seeing the crowd there, kind of getting back to normal over in Florida, at least, and Texas. Some other spots, I heard Vegas is back to normal. But if you're over here in California or basically any other Democrat-ran state, it's like North Korea. You just kind of have to put your godforsaken mask on whenever you leave your place, and people look at you weird if you're not wearing your mask. I've already had COVID. It didn't kill me. It's probably not going to kill anybody else. We had a survival rate of 99-point-something%. Let's go back to work. The economy is crashing, and we're all going to die. Well, maybe not that. But some of us are going to die, unfortunately. It could be me. But, yeah, so that's the UFC pay-per-view. All right, so now we're going to talk about Wrestlemania Backlash. I've never heard that before. I guess WWE is trying to tie in the whole Wrestlemania with Backlash to get people to go, oh, cool, it's like Wrestlemania. No, it's just Backlash. There's no WrestleMania. Next, they're going to have WrestleMania Hell in a Cell and WrestleMania SummerSlam and WrestleMania Royal Rumble. No, it's just Backlash, WWE. But whatever. The first match was for the kickoff. I missed this one because I was busy doing things. It was Sheamus versus Ricochet. I didn't get to see it, but I'm sure it was a great match because Sheamus is a good wrestler and Ricochet is a good wrestler. But apparently it's for the U.S. Championship, but it wasn't for the U.S. Championship because Sheamus didn't put it on the line. Whatever that means. All right, so the next match was for the Raw Women's Championship. We had the champion, Rhea Ripley, versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. Now, I haven't been keeping up with WWE as of lately too much because I've been busy and WWE basically sucks. But that being said, I would have bet all the money on Rhea Ripley pinning Asuka, and that's exactly what happened. Because God forbid you have Charlotte get pinned, because she never gets pinned in a triple threat match, to my recollection. Because you gotta make sure she's safe, make sure she's good. Don't let her get tarnished. And I like Charlotte Flair. I have nothing against her. She's an excellent wrestler. Man, she's an excellent female wrestler. That's my problem with the female wrestlers, because very few of them are even good. You take the greatest female wrestler, and she's as good as an average male wrestler. So sue me, okay? That's not sexist. It's just a fact. If you see it any other way, then you're just blinded by the fact that you're sexist. Charlotte Flair, of course, did her moonsault off the top rope at one point onto the outside. That move should be eliminated because it's way too dangerous. She's going to flip back, land wrong, or land straight, snap one or both of her legs in half, and then she won't be able to wrestle at all. And she's going to look like Chris Weidman or Anderson Silva, all those people that get their legs broke. Because when she does it, she doesn't even make contact with the other two chicks. She barely kind of hit Rhea Ripley. Asuka just went, ah! And just jumped back. She didn't even touch her. And it's too much danger. I get it. It's like, ooh, that's exciting. But she does it every single match. And there's no payoff. You're just going to break your leg one day. Don't do it. God forbid you messed up and you just squashed someone. You did like a huge curb stomp from the top onto somebody. They're dead. They're dead. what's her face? In the end, Rhea Ripley gets the rip title on Asuka and pins her 1, 2, 3. And still, your Raw Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. Yay. Next up, we have for the Smackdown Live Tag Team Championship. One of the very few championships that I still have the title because they keep changing them. As you see, the Intercontinental and the United States Championship belts, no longer those. But it was Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler versus Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Now, if you've ever seen wrestling for longer than a year, well, we'll go back. So before the whole match, earlier on in the night, I keep wanting to say Rick Rude, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler beat up Dominic Reyes in the backstage area. And then Rey Mysterio's like, I'm going to avenge you and I'm going to go fight them both. No, that's not how you do it in real life. You don't go fight two people who beat up your son in real life by yourself. You shoot them. You bring a bat. You do something. You don't just have like, oh, you've already beat up my son, so now I'm going to fight you by myself. That's a handicap match, and that's how people die or lose a match. But, once again, if you've ever seen wrestling for longer than a year, whenever someone gets beat up backstage and then they do this and they have the handicap match, what you do is you have Rey Mysterio wrestle his butt off because he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time against Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, back and forth, whatever. He was holding his own and got the famouser and all this other kind of stuff, but he still was able to survive. And then, lo and behold, 3 minutes before the match ends, here comes Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Reyes is a UFC fighter. See him hobbling along, going to the ring, and then he gets up there and he's like, "Come on, tag me, Dad." And Rey Mysterio's like hesitant to tag him because he doesn't want his son who's hurt to get hurt more. I get it. But you're getting your butt handed to you, and even though he's hobbling down the ring, he's still fresher than you are. So tag him, and that's what he did eventually. And Rey Mysterio, I think he did like the 619 or something to Bobby Roode, something like that. And then he tagged Dominic. Dominic did the splash, pinned him 1, 2, 3, and new SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions. Now, this is the first time ever that a father and a son were both tag team champions. That's history. That's never been done before. Yay! Guess what, WWE? We don't have to have the first of everything ever to happen in WWE, okay? Just because it's the first time ever doesn't make it special. We had some. That's what they do with the titles. They go, oh, he's the longest running title reign holder of all time. And they do it, then they have it, they beat the record by 3 days and they lose. And they do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And eventually, it'll be the longest title reign, 10,463 years. Fill in the blank. Okay, it gets old. And, like I was talking about before about how there's average wrestlers and stuff, that's what Dominic Mysterio is, in my opinion. Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Apparently, talent skips a generation. So, Dominic Mysterio, you might not be a great wrestler, but your son or daughter might be. Leaning towards son. But, I mean, good for you. You get to share that moment with your dad. Rey Mysterio said it was the greatest accomplishment or greatest thing in his history. So I'm happy for him for that. But when it comes to wrestling, Dominic, he ain't got it. It's, like I said, it skips a generation, hopefully, for Dominic's son or daughter. But Dominic, not a good wrestler. Kind of like when you watch Shane McMahon wrestle. It's like, okay, is it over? Can we go to the next match? Is it? Okay, good. Thank you. So this next match was a little peculiar. It was a Lumberjack match between Damien Priest and The Miz. So before the match, John Morrison, his buddy, who I think is being underused so badly. I mean, this dude can do all kinds of parkour. That's an Office reference. So much parkour, and such a good wrestler. And they got his hair pulled back in like a weird little thing, and he's got the Johnny Drip, and he's just being kind of like the Miz's sidekick, which, I mean, hopefully he's just paying him lots and lots of money, and he's fine with doing that because he's so good at wrestling. He deserves more. He should be like IC champion or at least United States champion or something, but instead he's just Johnny Drip. So he goes to the locker room to where the Lumberjacks are, and he's going to sweet talk them, and he goes in there and notices a bunch of zombies. Now, this is because they were sponsored by Army of the Dead, a movie that came out in theaters on Friday. It'll come out on Netflix this coming Friday, and it's got Dave Bautista in there. It's a movie I was really wanted to see because it has Chris D'Elia in there, and I'm a zombie fan. But Chris D'Elia had the sexual allegations against him. It's been over a year. Still no proof, but the guy has been shunned and canceled and barely got his podcast back because a bunch of chicks said he tried to have sex with them when they were underage. Once again, it's been over a year. Still, no proof has come forward. If he did it, there should have been proof pulled forward and brought forward. But nope. What I think happened was he banged a bunch of chicks. Still not great to do, but he did that, and then some of them got angry, and they just started saying, oh, I was underage when he did this, and just ruined his career because he decided not to go with them. He decided to get have his girlfriend get pregnant, and he has a kid, and they got angry. Once again, if it comes out to prove that he did go after chicks that were underage and knew it, he's a bad dude, creepy dude. But once again, it's been like a year since the allegations came out, and still nothing. But that's not talking about wrestling. It's a different kind of wrestling. If you're underage, ask your mom and dad. So they had the wrestling match. The zombies came out. Also, the zombies came out. They were kind of like Thriller. This is Thriller. Coming out to the ring. And they go out there and they, like any lumberjack match, people were trying to grab them, pull them out. A couple of times Damien Priest was out there. He had to beat up the zombies. And then The Miz was outside. He had to beat up the zombies. And then at the end, John Morrison got pulled off to the side. He got pulled over the, I don't know what you call it. It's not the turnbuckle. Over the barriers. And it's like, ah! And they ate him, supposedly. And so that was kind of haha, whatever. And then Damien Priest hit the lights, and he pinned The Miz 1, 2, 3, as we always like to say. And as soon as he did, he left. And then the zombies, for whatever reason, they were unlocked, and then they were able to crawl in the ring. And they crawled in there, and they ate The Miz. Now, I don't know how they're going to explain The Miz being eaten. I don't know if they're going to have him pretend like he got a lot of plastic surgery because he's an A-lister. They'll probably do something where it makes it look his face is all screwed up for a little while just to give him something different. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But I know a lot of people like to poo-poo on this wrestling match, and it was a little weird. But, hey, man, when they did the John Cena, the Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, what do you call it, Funhouse match at WrestleMania, people were like, what is this? And it turned out to be great. They took chances. They took a chance on this. I get it. It wasn't great. But, hey, people were talking about it, and it helped out with the Walking Dead. Army of the Dead movie helped promote it because at least they knew what was going on. The UFC the night before was sponsored by Army of the Dead, and you kept hearing John Anik say, UFC 262 is brought to you by Army of the Dead. What did he say? Only on Netflix. Wrong. It's a Netflix movie, but it's only in theaters right now for a week, and then in a week it'll be on Netflix. So you kind of screwed up the advertisement for that and the marketing for that because people are going to go, oh, cool, I want to check that out. And they're going to go home and check their Netflix. And, this isn't on there. And then they're going to forget about it, and then they're going to watch it, and they're not going to get the views. And if you don't tell them it's in the movie theater, they're definitely not going to go check it out because they're not going to go to the movie theater to check it out because they don't think it's in the movie theater. So John Anik, you screwed up the marketing for Army of the Dead, which once again I guess is a good thing because they pulled Chris D'Elia out because he had sexual allegations. That's one last thing. That's why it drives me crazy because they have all these sexual allegations and there's no proof and automatically just cancel a dude and ruin his life. I get it. There's a lot of bad guys out there that do bad things to women and they should bury them under the prison. But just to have someone get allegations and then all of a sudden you just go, no, you can't have a job no more. You can't work. Go do something else. What? That's not fair either. But overall, the match was But once again, I think it was way better marketing for Army of the Dead than the UFC did. All right, so the next match was for the Smackdown Live Women's Championship. You had Bianca Belair versus Bayley. Now, Bianca Belair, she is a really good wrestler. Bayley, not a really good wrestler. And then they have her be in this whole, like, Karen thing or whatever you want to call it, where she's just, like, annoying. Just a ha, 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 the horrible laugh. It's kind of like Vicky Guerrero when she said, "Excuse me, excuse me." Like it's one thing to have people not like you, but when you do something annoying, people just like, no, turn it off, get it away from me. Like that's how I feel like that laugh is with Vicky Guerrero. It didn't help put her over by people hating her. It just made it more annoying. So WWE changed that. Let's see. There's nothing really special about the match. Once again, Bianca Belair is a really good wrestler. I was impressed when she fought Sasha Banks, and then she at WrestleMania, she picked her up over her head and she walked up the steps with her. That's impressive. Even though Sasha Banks probably weighs 80 pounds soaking wet. That didn't sound right. But in the end, Bianca Belair was like wrapping her up with her long hair, which I'd like to know if that's real hair or fake hair. I'm leaning towards fake. But she tried to wrap her up with her leg and try to pin her, and then she lost grip of her hair or something. It kind of looked kind of awkward, and then she pinned her 1, 2, 3, and then she rolled out and then ran up the Titantron. And then Beta's like, she cheated. She used her hair. She cheated. Well, I guess in the storyline she was supposed to, but in the end she didn't because she messed it up. So once again, there's a female wrestler screwing up their job. Alright, so the next match was for, you can't see it up there, but the WWE Championship match. That's just how my chair sat. Unfortunately, you see these secondary titles and stuff like that, but you don't get to see the main titles. It was Bobby Lashley, the current champion, versus Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre. Now, what can you say? A lot of big guys, a lot of slamming, a lot of big choke slams and flips and things like that. Actually, yeah, the flips was a kind of a new thing because at one point Braun Strowman ran off the apron, did a front flip, and landed on Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. And if you go back and watch it, Braun Strowman was about this close to being paralyzed because the way he flipped, he didn't flip quite as well because he's 300 something pounds. He's not supposed to flip. Okay? You flip pancakes, you flip people off in traffic, but Braun Strowman is not supposed to flip. And somehow he did. Thank God he didn't kill himself or break his neck. And then a little bit later, they're up at the entrance ramp up the top of the Titantron, and then Bobby Lashley got thrown through the lights by Drew McIntyre. Now, once again, if you've ever watched wrestling, whenever that happens, either that person is gone forever or they're going to win. So it's a toss-up. And as we saw later on, he wasn't gone forever because you go back to the ring. Drew McIntyre was going against Braun Strowman. Drew McIntyre did a Michinoku driver, which was very impressive. I mean, I get it, Drew McIntyre is a beast, he's strong, but to Michinoku driver Braun Strowman, super impressive. I don't know what Braun Strowman's been doing, but he's been doing a lot of flipping and stuff. I don't know, he goes to one of those trampoline parks and just pushes the kids out of the way, just does back flips and front flips and things. Because I've never seen a dude that do that many flips, so good on Braun. And also on Braun. If I was him, as soon as my contract is over with WWE, I'd go to AEW. Because this dude is huge, and they treat him just like the Big Show. They just use him to put other people over. And his name's Adam, just like mine, so I have favoritism towards him. So I gotta say, go to AEW. You can be with Chris Jericho. Drink it in, man. But yeah, at the end, what did they do? Drew McIntyre hit Braun Strowman with a Claymore, and then Bobby Lashley, out of nowhere, comes out, throws Drew McIntyre out, spears Braun Strowman, pins him 1, 2, 3, and still your WWE champion Bobby Lashley. This one was just kind of like the Rhea Ripley and Asuka thing. I was like, yep, they're going to pin Braun Strowman. And that's what they did. Because for some reason, they don't like Braun Strowman. They just use him to put people over, and that's why I would get out. And the main event of WrestleMania Backlash was, of course, for the, you can't see it, but Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. Now, I've met Cesaro before. I met him after he got his teeth jammed into his face. Met him at the same time as Sheamus when they were La Bar. And actually, I got them to sign this title. Super nice guy from what I could tell. Sheamus seemed really nice and endearing. I'm definitely in the Cesaro section. I'm definitely not in the Roman Reigns section. I never have been, really. Even when they were in the Shield and they started whatever, I was like, Seth Rollins, he's the one with talent. But Vince McMahon loves Roman Reigns because he's a beast. I still don't understand how he had leukemia or something like that, and he left. He was supposed to get weaker, and he came back stronger. You see him like doing shoulder strokes at 45 pounds. Jeez Louise. That is not somebody who has leukemia. That is somebody who has HGH or some kind of Anavar. So they were going back and forth. Cesaro was doing his thing. Of course, at some point, he pretended like he hurt his arm. And then from there, it was just basically they go back and forth. And every time Cesaro would get ahead, Roman Reigns would do something to his arm. And, God. And then he was just basically super weak. They did a sharpshooter to Roman Reigns. I've never seen anybody crawl out of a sharpshooter as fast as Roman Reigns did. They clearly did not want Roman Reigns to look weak. Like, okay, so as soon as you get him in the sharpshooter, run! Just do the wheelbarrow backwards and run up and grab the rope. I used to do those to my brothers and sisters, and we used to had them do it to me when I was a little bit closer to their size, and you can't get out of that. I don't care who you are, especially if you're going against Cesaro. That guy is pound for pound the strongest guy in WWE. The guy's a freak in a good way. And it was just so frustrating because what else was there? They just went back and forth, and you know Roman Reigns is going to win. And throughout the night they kept showing Jimmy and Jay, talking about Jimmy's like he's nobody's biatch, and Jay is a biatch, and they were kind of making it seem like Jimmy's going to talk Jay into being a good guy. I honestly thought at the end Jimmy was going to come out and everybody's going to, yay, he's going to help Cesaro, and he's going to turn on Cesaro, and then there's going to be Roman with the Usos beside him, but that didn't happen. So at least I got that wrong. It was unexpected. It's so much better than seeing exactly what you expect to happen. But in the end, he got him in the guillotine. Once again, I don't know why Roman Reigns has the guillotine as a submission, but whatever. He does that, and then he chokes him out, and he throws him off. The only good part was when Cesaro kind of came back, like, what happened? What happened? So that was excellent acting on Cesaro's part. I don't know where they're going to go from here, but apparently Seth Rollins is going to be beating up Cesaro because he came out and beat up Cesaro for a little bit. I mean, they put on excellent matches. They're really good friends together because they're both agile and super strong and can do all kinds of things. So I would love to see them having a feud for the title and not Roman Reigns in there, because as big as he is and as strong and as lean as he is and everything, he's really not a good wrestler. I mean, be honest. I mean, he's better than I am, but I'm not a wrestler. If you want to make a standee, I'm your man. But yeah, overall, that was it. So I said they're gonna have Cesaro versus Roman against Seth Rollins, I guess, because they don't want Cesaro in the title picture. Maybe, I don't know. But overall, that was a weak pay-per-view in my opinion. I mean, I didn't go to sleep, so that was good. But I wanted to go to sleep. I just don't know how WWE plans on having people to keep watching their stuff when they keep making this kind of crap. It's just awful. Like it was basically just like watching Smackdown or Raw, but they had titles on the line. But they didn't have close to half the titles felt like on the line. They didn't have the IC title. They didn't have the Raw Tag Team Championship. Okay, maybe only 2, but it seemed like there was a lot less. But man, maybe you liked it. I hope you did if you watched it, especially if you paid for it. But for me, the UFC, even though I didn't even remember the third fight happening, was way better. But maybe you differ in your opinions. That's fine. This is America. This is the whole world. Maybe you're not watching this in America. I know a couple of you watch it in the Philippines and New Zealand and all over the world. That's kind of cool. But maybe you liked it, and I hope you did. But whatever you did think about it, comment below. Let me know what you thought of it. But I just thought it was pretty whack. Welp, that is it. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, and subscribe. And as always, I do appreciate it greatly. And until next time, peace.